Welcome again, once again. We started back up. Big Sam and Nephews. Say hello, nephews. These are my nephews. They live down in Atlanta, Georgia. I relocated. I spent 35 years in Minneapolis. And yes, a long time. But now I'm back where I'm born. I was born in California, raised in Fresno. Well, actually raised in Sacramento. But anyway, enough of that. Who cares about me? But anyway, we got a guest that's supposed to be on. But
there we go.
There he is.
Hey. Hey, you know you're old when you start looking down at the phone like this.
Everybody's got jokes in my family.
All right, stop messing with your phone. You're going to turn off your camera.
I want to put it back in the stand, people. I don't want to be sitting here like I don't, holding the phone. I have a stand that I can put the phone in, player. I just got to get it.
Nate, how's it going, brother?
There we go. Okay.
All right. Can you see everybody?
Everybody's here, back here. Yeah. I'm back on. I never was off. But anyway, this is Big Sam and Nephews. We had about 2 years with the shows on YouTube. So a lot of times I would just tell people they go back and revert back to a lot of our old shows. We had Nathan on there, one of our guests, and Nathan's a diehard San Francisco Giants fan. And Nathan, I got to be honest with you. I am a diehard Giants fan, but I'm a diehard baseball fan, and I actually am a diehard Dodger fan. It would not break my heart if the Dodgers won the World Series again. I know.
You were doing until about 10 seconds.
No. Hey, I'm telling Nathan, I'm telling the truth about myself, right?
Let me finish that truth. You've been out of state for a long time because no one, and I mean no one, would make that statement.
Oh, wow. Well, I made it.
And somebody just put the blue team on screen.
Oh, we ain't gonna name no names.
Oh man, I stay with the Dodgers, man. You know what I'm saying? I would be a Braves fan, but they don't know how to win correctly. So
they won the last World Series.
Yeah, but then they didn't know how to win.
Hey, hold up, Shotty. Hold up, my boy. Hold up. Did y'all get the championship last year? No. Oh, okay, my bad. We'll wait. Y'all got a year before last, right? Okay. Did the Braves beat the Dodgers? Oh, that too. God dang, come on, dog. Shh. Hey, I'm gonna mute you right now. Mute.
Wow. What brought all that on, I wonder?
But I mean, but look at it like this though. The Braves happened to win. They stumbled into that win. They didn't. Come on, man.
Oops.
And then they didn't even know how to celebrate properly. They ran through the whole city. They just drove through the whole city.
Nothing wrong with that. Hey, man, that's what you do.
But, I'll tell you what. I think we have to give credit where credit's due. There's one winner every year, and then there's 29 also-rans. So you either won it or you didn't. And last year was that team's year, right?
Right.
Now, I mean, what can you say? They won it. They were hot at the right time. Probably the two teams that were most favored to win it or most sort of predicted to win it suffered key injuries at the end of the season. We lost Belt. The Giants lost Belt, and that blue team lost Muncy, right? Mm. That was key. That could very well be a big part of the reason why Atlanta, went on to the World Series and went on to win it. Yeah.
I just like to say for the record though, we did get Freddie Freeman this year, so we got Freddie Freeman this year, so it looks like we might have a little bit of that Atlanta love right there.
Man, I'll tell you what, that blue team, which the name of I never enunciate. Okay, ain't gonna happen. Okay, but is that is a powerful team. You guys have a lot of offense, and your pitching is outstanding. I'm talking about starters and relievers. I think you guys are looking for a starter right now. But the thing is, their minor league system, it's almost a sort of an anomaly because Blue Team has probably the most talented team in baseball on paper, right? And that paper has, 7 or 8 division championships in a row until last year, of course. But, how do you have the most talent and the strongest farm system, or let's say top 3 or 4 consistently? I mean, it's something that's not supposed to happen. That, in my opinion, is a direct indicator of the management and the people who are making the choices and their developmental system, right? Because they're talent and then they have to develop it. Of course, the guy that you guys had is out here now. All right. We have Farhan Zaidi, the only PhD in baseball and almost certainly the smartest man in the game, running the show. And now right away, our minor league system went toward the top.
Wow.
That's true.
Nice.
Well, I actually work for a minor league team, which is the affiliate of the Colorado Rockies here in Fresno, California, where I reside right now. And they have a good farm system too. But I've watched all the teams come through in the farm system to play the Fresno Grizzlies, and I gotta admit with Nathan that the Dodgers have a very, very sound A-League system.
Why do you Giants, keep saying that name, Sam? Why do you saying that name, man?
I don't know, man.
Go get therapy. Man.
Cussing at you, Nate. Man,
that's the same thing.
I thought you didn't cuss.
Okay.
I don't.
You just did.
No, I just said the Los Angeles Dodgers. One of the reasons why I like the Dodgers. They have one of the 2 black managers in all of baseball. And by the way, I'd like to give congratulations to Dusty Baker, had his 2000 victory a couple of weeks ago. So that's always and he'll be in the Hall of Fame too.
Good for Sacramento, California native Dusty Baker.
Right. Absolutely.
So got the draft coming up tomorrow, guys. What do you think? MLB draft is tomorrow.
I have no idea about baseball. I have no clue.
Right.
You're the expert.
Wow.
Go ahead. Tell us who you like.
Well, it's a different process. Unlike football and basketball, where not only do you see the players on a weekly basis, right? Basketball's in a way a nightly basis toward the middle of the week and late through the week and the weekends.
Right.
Not only that, but the players, especially the top, like the premium rounds in baseball, that's considered the first 5 rounds. Well, of course, in the other 2 sports, it's the first 2, maybe 3 rounds. Thing is, you see those players right away, and then some guys from the later rounds will make it and stick. But like the first and second rounds, often the third rounds, they want to get some production out of those guys. In football, then basketball is kind of a 1-round thing, and sometimes there's only 2 rounds. There are only 2 rounds that constitute the draft. Some of the second round guys stick. Not all the first round ones make it, but they expect the first rounder to come in and contribute right away. That's why they took you in the top 30, right? Well, unlike that you see right away, baseball is very different. Nobody goes straight to the major leagues. It just doesn't happen. It was rare from 40, 50 years ago, or maybe even 50, 60 years ago kind of thing, right? So there's a 2 to 4 year minor league system where these guys have to develop, grow, get stronger, learn the nuances of the game. So we don't see these guys for quick would be 2, standard would be 4, and sometimes it's 5 or 6. We don't see them until they're 25, 27, when, a man is actually in his physical prime. They say at 26, 27, 28 are the physiological prime years of male athletes or men in general kind of thing, you see?
Right.
So it's different. It's a little bit tougher to judge. Now, here's what I hope. Here's what I predict. Let's put it like that. Because I think we have the smartest guy in baseball, and there's scouting and development department that includes the draft analysts, the organizational draft analysts. I think, like last year, I think that we're going to once again go pitching, or at least pitching heavy, right? And just stockpile that minor league system. That's how that blue team, that's why they just come up with pitcher after pitcher after pitcher after pitcher. Well, that's how they do it. They go out and find the talent, not just here in the States, because baseball is not, it's number one to people like me, people like Sam, and people who are, 35 like us. Anyway, but
I'm 35 too.
yeah, right. People that grew up in the 60s and 70s where baseball was king, right? So yeah, it's meaningful, even though I'm not going to see these guys for 2 to 4 years.
So I do have a question though. So is it the same process like here in the States as it is like in like let's say Cuba or in the Dominican Republic with those players, or do they just normally come straight through and come straight to the league?
What'd you say, Nate?
Well, the process is the same. I mean, no organization worth its salt is going to rush a guy because he's a big name, or because based only on what he did in a league that is considered to be a less than league than my battery's getting low. I'm gonna have to plug in a less than league than the major leagues, right? You can destroy a guy's confidence. That's time where he could have been developing, where he's going to be on the bench. It's going to hurt the major league product, the team. So the process is the same. I would say, however, that you mentioned Cuba, right? A lot of times, guys from Cuba, they have a major league that is considered. I mean, it's certainly one of the top 2 or 3, major league systems, major league in that nation, in that region, right?
Right.
In the world. I mean, Japan is pretty highly ranked. So is Korea. So is Mexico and Venezuela are pretty highly ranked also. But sometimes you'll see a guy like Cespedes that came from Cuba. I think he did do a little bit of time in the minor leagues, but maybe less than a year. Basically he was ready. They wanted to come in and give him some time, some developmental time. But shortly thereafter he was up. But he came over when he was 24 or 5 or something, right? He was a grown man.
Nathan, do you feel as though that a lot of these guys that come from Cuba kind of get rushed in the major leagues?
No, I think that teams do a halfway decent job of analyzing the talent that they acquire, right? So they don't want to rush them. Now, sometimes if that happens, sometimes it's based on, 50% need, 50%, look, we paid you a lot of money, we expect some production. And you're a certain age, we expect some production. We're going to roll the dice and take a chance on you being able to stick and contribute, maybe dominate, right? Like Ichiro Suzuki would be one example of that, okay? Rare talent, right? So I think Ichiro came straight to the major leagues and he won the batting title the first year, okay? So he was more than ready.
Yeah,
but that's,
I think he was different though. I think he was a little different where he was, he was primed and ready in Japan. He had such a big name in Japan. He went to the right market. I think it was a lot of different factors. He went to the right market where there's the Asian market where he has a lot of Asian following, especially on the West Coast. And then, I think it took him like a month or so to really get like some pitching. But once he got it, it was over. It was like, you can't, everybody, we need to change his swing. Well, no, man, that's how he hits. Like they didn't change I was glad they didn't change nothing about him. They let him do him. He played with King Griffey. Was King Griffey still there? Yeah, King Griffey was still there, right? Yeah, so I think he went to a perfect situation, just like Ohtani. Ohtani goes to a perfect situation again, where he only had to do like maybe less than a year in the minors, and now he could pitch. He could damn sure hit. This guy.
I'll tell you, talents like that can play anywhere. You can put those $10 too, and the fans would love them, kind of thing. You see, the both of them are rare talents. Tell you what, let me plug in real quick, guys. 1 second.
So who do y'all think is gonna win the home derby challenge though?
The home run derby? Well, Judge is not even going to be in it.
I think
I was a little sad about.
I think they're getting better young talent, man. They got some talented hitters, man. I mean, you got Ronald Acuna might win that joint on accident. I mean, he could. Man,
and Lindor's in there.
Right, Lindor. Well, what you're finding is a lot of the guys from the Latin America. See, I tell you what baseball is done. Baseball is priced the African American kids out of baseball because now if you have a traveling team, it costs you an arm and a leg to play traveling baseball, right?
About 3,000-4,000
plus your bats, your equipment, your fee, your traveling fee, and every weekend. I mean, I've coached traveling baseball, so I guess I know for a fact that they're pricing the African American kids out of baseball. It used to be, the Latin players now have become the new black players. And the other thing with the black players, they don't want to wait. They don't want to ride in these raggedy buses. Not raggedy, but take these bus rides in these different cities, for a couple of 2-3 years, sometimes 4 years. Whereas they can go, if you're talented enough, bam, you're right in the NBA right out of the gate.
Well, I mean, I think baseball hasn't really done a good job as far as the inner city. You know what I'm saying? Like in the inner city, you got two options. You're gonna play football, you're gonna play basketball. And 9 times out of 10, the cheaper of those those sports is basketball. So all you need is bat, shoes and a ball, and then you can hoop. So I think baseball needs to do a better job just for the black community to, be able to come in there and say, hey, look, we got this program here. How about you guys, come into this program? Because let's just be honest, man, there's a lot of talented, African-American kids out there that just don't have the opportunity and don't have the money to pay for all that stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead, Nathan.
I think, there's that. But I think a lot of it has to do with the shine that's come off baseball because of the mindset of the younger generation. Because see, if you go back to when I was a kid, I mean, we played baseball every single day if it wasn't raining. I mean, two guys, somebody pitched, somebody hit, and don't hit it too far, you have to go get it yourself, right?
Right.
And we played. And we almost worshipped the baseball stars first. I mean, before the football stars, the basketball stars. You guys remember Joe Morgan?
Yep.
How about Willie Marshall?
Yep.
No, Willie too.
Oh, is that right? Well, let me ask you this. Did anybody ever see in the 70s, you're driving, or walking somewhere, and you see some kids playing baseball, and you see somebody going like this?
I was shaking the elbow.
That was Joe.
Right.
See, that was Pop Stargell, right? So kids get out there and just worship. Yeah, I saw some White Shoes Johnson dances, but you saw the baseball sort of emulations more than anybody else.
Correct.
Or what I should say. And so these guys were revered. So something changed because, I don't know that we can make kids. I'm a teacher, guys. Yeah, boy, it's kids they like what they like, So here's what I think. All right. If we showed kids here how much clout there would be for young baseball players, and what I mean is this, somehow maybe make a deal with South and Central American baseball leagues. Okay, come on, guys, we're going to broadcast your games here and show the enthusiasm and show how excited the young men are, because down there it's baseball and soccer. That's it. Baseball, basketball, they don't play football very much, right? It's baseball and soccer. And so the youngsters here would see, it's like if you could take every youngster down to South and Central America, to Venezuela, Mexico, where baseball is king in both those places. I mean, more than anywhere else You know, as much as King, and honestly, I think even more there than it is here, because all the youngsters love one or two or both. Here, it's not necessarily, I don't think it's based on race, honestly, because a lot of inner city kids, regardless of where they come from or what they look like, just aren't that excited about baseball. You'll see.
But you know, I'm actually excited that, you know, baseball started breaking the, you know, the chains as far as like the tradition, you know, the quote unquote traditional stuff. Like you can't have a bat flip, or you can't, you know, point to the crowd. You know, those things for me personally, like I'm part of the younger generation, and like I only watch baseball once the Dodgers get to the playoffs. So you
He's
know,
not a real fan. He's not a real fan.
I am a real fan. I keep track. I keep track throughout the year, you know, to see, you know, who's on the IR, or, you know, who's, you know, doing this or whatever. But like for me, baseball got boring until like maybe a few years ago, when they were like, hey, you know, you got this guy throwing a bat up, you know, got all these celebrations and stuff. And it was different from the norm, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't just this black and white, you know, just trot around the bases. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that is what needs to, you know, kind of entice, you know, some of these other kids that they don't really reach. And that's what the MLB is starting to embrace that, though.
Bat flip was kind of like a slam dunk, a 360 slam dunk.
Yep.
Well, you know, remember, baseball was the last sport to integrate. And I just think baseball is just kind of behind the times, man.
Yeah,
as far as the marketing, for whatever reason. And a lot of these, and again, I'm gonna go back to the other thing, Nathan. They should induct Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa into the Hall of Fame.
Mark McGwire.
Yeah. Induct him into the Hall of Fame.
All four?
Yep.
Everybody
was cheating.
How about Palermo?
Him too.
Who, from the Rangers?
Yeah.
Palmeiro?
Rafael Palmeiro should get in there too. He wasn't out. Pete Rose should, oh my gosh, don't let me start on that. Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, yes.
And second should be Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Yes, I agree.
Right.
I agree.
I'm going to agree with you, Barry. I'm going to agree with you on Rocket Man. Well, quiet as it's kept. I don't want to put too much out there. Just do the research yourselves. I think there's a second reason that Roger's not getting in. I'll just say that, and then you come up with what you come up with, okay? But Barry should be in, okay, in my opinion. Let me tell you why I think that if there are those five that you just mentioned, I would say Barry and Roger, other than something else that Roger had going on years ago. But then the three, Sammy, Mark, and Rafi, I'm still sort of on the fence about. Great players, great talent, but I didn't see what either of them did before they were on the juice. I saw Rocket and I saw Barry every day before they were on the juice, right? So I know the kind of talent. If Barry had retired 10 years before he did, he would have been a first ballot.
He would have been in.
He would have been.
He had seven MVPs.
Yeah,
he had more MVPs than anybody else in baseball.
People forget about his Pittsburgh days. People forget how good he really was. It was him, Andy Van Slyke. It was all those guys that they had, and it was just Barry was smaller, and he could still hit. He could still hit home runs. He could do it. Yeah, he was a great outfielder.
He had 400 homers and 500 steals. I don't know how many Gold Gloves. Now the man that dude could not throw a baseball through a wet paper towel, but he was the best left fielder I have ever seen in my life.
I got a chance to see him probably about 10 times in his career. So I got a chance to see him when we was living in Houston, when he played for the Pirates, and then his first couple of years when they played for the Giants. And so I just remember the first time I saw him, me and my brother, we was like, man, let's just, so we used to go to the Astrodome. That was when they had Nolan Ryan, Craig Biggio was just there. I mean, that was the start of their rise. And I think the outfield tickets was like $5 or something like that. So we take the bus to the Astrodome. We pay $5, and we're sitting out there, and I was watching Barry hit. I was like, yo, like he hits the ball like it's no problem. And he was small. He was maybe 205, maybe 205.
Right.
And then we seen him a couple of years later when he started getting bigger, right? And he was probably about 225 then. I think he was about 225 then, a muscle. I mean, still same swing, still same everything. I think the problem is that when he got to be 37, 38, 39 years old, they're like, yo, this dude got 70 home runs. What is he? You know what I'm saying? Those questions started coming in. So when he was younger, it was all good. But yeah, I've seen him both times, and I was like, oh my God.
He was one of the best players there ever was, you know? Yeah. I mean, oh man, just incredible. A top 10 before he ever, took a shot.
Definitely agree. I mean, I've seen A-Rod play in person. I mean, I've seen a lot of guys play in person. And I'm like, I was at the game with Derek Jeter. I became a Derek Jeter fan because I was just like, yo, this dude is amazing. Like this guy's amazing. So you start seeing these people person, I'm like, oh snap. Now I know why you're the best of the best. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, Barry was the best person I've seen in person besides Nolan Ryan as pitching. But yeah, Barry was the best I've ever seen in person. I was like, holy
yeah. There was a lot of names. If you Google, for our audience out there, if you Google players, Hall of Fame ball players suspected of being on the juice, right? There's some names that'll pop up that will really, really surprise you.
It's a long list.
It's a long.
But that was the era too, though. That was the era.
And it was okay at the time to take the juice, but then when baseball is just so two-faced now, because now they say, well, the juicing era, if they have to put an asterisk by it, so be it. But they should be in the Hall of Fame for their playing. Not because the media hated Barry, because that's all it is now, is because these old guys are just holding these old grudges. Old guys holding old grudges.
But you just said something that is the biggest issue. The media, they're the ones that vote for who's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Right. Absolutely.
So you got to take it, just like the NBA, they took, the media's vote out of, who's going to be an MVP. You got to take the media out of it because you talking about people that have never swung a bat, never threw a ball, never ran in the outfield. You don't know what it takes to do that. All you're doing is sitting behind, a computer, typing, an article and saying, hey, look, well, I think you really have to have, I would say former players and former coaches say, hey, look, I know what it takes to do that.
Yeah,
right. He should be in the Hall of Fame.
They have to hold the most weight, and that's the main thing. I think if they left it up to the players would say something different. You know what I'm saying? So you start leaving up to players. It's like, hey, if you take the people from the late 90s, 2000s, 2010, to about 2005 when all that stuff was going on, I'm like, dude, everybody was doing it, and it was encouraged. And see, here goes the bad thing. It was encouraged by baseball.
Right, because they wanted some more excitement in baseball. And it was dying, and the home run was the excitement for a team.
Remember why?
Go ahead.
Remember why it was dying?
It was the strike.
Strike.
Yep.
Killed it. There are fans, old school guys, older than me, that never returned to the game as a fan because of that strike that year that killed the World Series, killed the second half of the season. And so I think that some people in high places turned a blind eye. They knew what was going on. If I knew it, I know they knew it. Okay, the deal. And they turned a blind eye because they were packing stadiums and TV ratings were high, and they made a lot of money.
Absolutely.
I think it's almost like football, where it's like, oh my God, like, hey, take this cortisone shot and get back on the field and go hit somebody.
Because
that's what we
in sports. football is number one in American sports. I don't care what anybody else says. You can't argue that point with me. Football is the number one sport, then basketball, then baseball, and then hockey. Even hockey is starting to get up off their lazy butts and do a little bit more marketing.
You got more black guys too. That's why.
Boxing is big, different set of circumstances. It's a one-time thing. Some of the top fighters might only fight every couple of years or maybe once a year. But I mean, the money they make and the excitement they create is, I mean, people around the world will stop and watch it. But then again, that's not like there's no season involved. It's when time to fight, right?
Right.
I think that and you know, back to your point about Latin America, I was down in Puerto Rico last month.
Oh, lucky for you.
Hey man, watch out, buddy.
Yeah.
But I was able to go see. We went to a basketball game, and they talk about excitement. And so we went to a basketball game, and the place was rocking, right? It's like a little league team, and it was like, you know, some ex-NBA players, you know, and a couple of guys, and then we were able to go to. We went through San Juan, and San Juan has this big stadium, big baseball stadium, packed. I think they had some game, whatever the Caribbean League they had going on down there. Stadium is packed. I was like, I want to go to a baseball game just to go see them play. That's all I want to do. I was like, yo, those games are like watching, you know, just being there, and it's like a soccer, it's like a football atmosphere. It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing. And I was just like, man, this is what's up. Like, I'm cool with this.
Yeah.
How are we looking for time?
We got like 10 minutes or so.
Oh, okay, cool.
Man, so I want to throw out there, man. What are you guys expecting out of this new documentary with Derek Jeter and the Yankees?
Is that about their winning 4 titles out of 5 or something else?
I think it's just. I think it's like the Last Dance. You know, like how Michael Jordan, you know, had the Last Dance. I think it's Derek Jeter's version of that now. Or were they just kind of tracking, what he was doing in his career and all that stuff?
He was the face of baseball for a while.
Kind of, sort of.
Well, now I think what the producers around the country have seen, they've seen the impact of the Michael Jordan, in the Last Dance, how big that was a big. I watched every single episode of that.
We gotta remember, man. Derek Jeter was up there with Michael Jordan at one point.
At one point,
like you see Michael Jordan's commercials, and then boom, during the baseball season, you see Derek Jeter's commercials. His Gatorade commercials.
Derek Jeter, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods.
Oh yeah. In fact, Tiger just joined or is about to join LeBron. Well, no. LeBron and Tiger, Michael, is one of the very few, or two of the very few athletes who turned themselves into billionaires.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Tiger just did it last month or a couple of months ago. LeBron is 800 or 850 or something like that. So in a year or two, he'll be there as well.
Right. Well,
I think it's a good idea because it's information. We live in an information age. To answer your question, he's an interesting character. I mean, he's been retired long enough. He has a very viable story. He wasn't part, or was he part owner of?
He used to be.
Marlins.
He stepped away.
I know he was GM.
Yeah.
Or
right.
I think GM.
He had stock in the Marlins.
Yeah, he stepped away from the Marlins.
He did, right. He was the one that hired thankfully he hired the first female general manager in North American male sport history. I mean, I was so happy when he did that. Yeah. He beat the Giants, but we hired the first coach. Kim Nacken, Sacramento State graduate, was the first female coach in Major League Baseball history. So proud of my Giants, and I'm glad Miami followed suit. They followed our lead, right? Giants were first there. So okay, so what's next question? Yeah.
He's like, let me get how good the Giants are. Are they gonna make the playoffs this year? Are they gonna make the playoffs?
You know what? I think
They
they
will give
will.
out the wild card, but I'm just saying it's rough.
Oh, it's tough. It's tough. Man, it just seems like Northern California teams lead the leagues in injuries, whether it be, Giants especially. Warriors have had more than their fair share, this kind of thing. The Niners had 2 years ago, the worst injury season in NFL history. I mean,
what?
On paper.
Yeah, you were.
Hurt me.
But,
And speaking of football, what do you think about Jimmy Garoppolo?
You got to go.
You know what they're saying? Some are saying, most are still saying he's going to go, but some are saying that they might, until there's a market for him, until somebody gets hurt, and they will, right?
I think
they might. They're not going to. I don't think they want to give him away.
No, I think what's in the best interest for the team, I think they should keep him. And I like Trey, but he's not going to help. The 49ers are in the win now. They got the team to win now. So you're a couple of plays away from winning the Super Bowl multiple times or getting to the Super Bowl multiple times.
Right.
Can Trey do it? Yes. Does he need time to play? Yes. But
we're not looking at though.
He's not ready yet though. He's not. I mean, he's only 1 year in the game. He's not ready yet.
Well, we don't. Did you hear about what Jerry Rice said?
No, I didn't.
No.
And Jerry Rice is my favorite all-time player. What did he say?
Many say he's the greatest football player. And the reason is, I think Lawrence Taylor is certainly the greatest defensive player. Now, my father's generation, our father, probably your grandfather's generation, many would say, Deacon Jones was maybe the greatest defensive player ever.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, he was.
That's what I heard.
I didn't see the deep, but anyway, I would say that. What Jerry said was that Trey is so bad that if he starts, he might come out of retirement.
I would take.
I wouldn't mind it.
Look, I would take T.O. out of retirement before I take Jerry out of retirement.
Boy, you're younger. That's 50. 55.
Hey, look. If I can see prime Jerry Rice all day again, I was able to go see them play a couple of times, and I'm like, holy crap, Jerry Rice is the freaking beast.
Yeah,
if I can see him in prime. Oh my god! But I seen him and T.O. at the same time, and I mean T.O.'s still in shape. I mean T.O. is like 47. I'm like, yo,
he's still racing against some of the NFL players right now
and beating them. I'm like.
But man, I mean, speaking of prime though, what we fail to realize as Niners fans is if we want to keep Debo happy, he wants to play with Garoppolo. So
has he said that?
Yeah, he said he came out on record saying that he wants to play with Garoppolo because I mean that's his comfort zone. So if they were smart, I would say keep Garoppolo, but of course,
pay the man.
You got to pay him. I mean,
don't get me wrong.
Stay.
I like Trey. I kind of feel like he's gonna come. It's gonna be essentially his rookie year, and I'm gonna suffer a freaking heart attack at 45 because I'll be over here. Come on, be over here going crazy. But he could have the year where he goes, 12-5, 13-3, something like that. So I mean, he's that guy. I mean, I agree. He's that kind of talent.
What do you think? Some say now he's had a year to sit and watch and learn the plays, observe the speed of the game. That's the biggest difference. And up there, everybody's good. They're like 4 guys out of 5 in college football couldn't make it in the NFL. That's how much college football is good. But that's how bigger, stronger, faster, and just better athletes they are at that level as compared to the last time he played. But he's had a year in that environment, a year to learn, a year to watch his predecessor, ultimately his predecessor. And then guess what? By mid-season, certainly by 3/4 of the way through, he's not a rookie anymore, in my opinion.
True. I think the preseason is going to tell a lot. So I think they're going to give him a lot of playing time in the preseason to really see what we can do, because then that'll give the market to Jimmy Garoppolo, where it's still, hey, look, we don't want to get rid of him, but we could put like 1 or 2 more people. We could get another receiver on the other side, because now you're going to turn in now you're going to be legitimate balanced offense where you can run that West Coast, but now I could go deep. I could go, I could go hit all three levels and, everything else. So
I think Jimmy G is an offer away. When the right offer comes, they're gonna. I mean, Jimmy G. I like Jimmy G. But when the right offer comes, I think he's gone, man.
yeah, nah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I just I don't know, man. I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted.
Just a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, not just.
I just never forgave Jimmy for the Super Bowl. So
Yes. Like, man,
I never forgave him.
Like,
you called it. We're one throw away. That one throw is
away. And he almost made the throw too. Just to be honest, he almost made that throw.
Yeah.
Now I want to switch over real quick. Now the Big Ten's changed. The dynamics of the Big Ten has changed drastically. For money, of course. USC and UCLA are now will be in the Big Ten in 2 years from now. And so I think, does that put a lot of pressure on the SEC? I think not.
No.
But the ACC,
they already got Texas and everybody else.
The ACC is now scrambling now. Like,
that's right.
They're scrambling because, like, what's happening now, they're trying to draw in, Notre Dame. So if they draw in Notre Dame, they can go pull another team, but it's not going to work.
No,
like,
Notre
really,
Dame makes too much money independent.
Notre
Dame is not going to budge. Why would you?
They got their own. They already got their own TV rights.
Why would I sell my TV rights?
That would be like NBC.
Yeah, no. Why we get 12 games a year, and all the money goes to me.
Right.
Why am I doing that?
No.
And we make the same amount of money as all the other conferences put together.
See, like that's what I'm saying. The pressure's on the ACC now because they're forced now to look to other teams in other divisions. Say, hey, look, you guys want to join?
And actually, in actuality, there really aren't any other teams in the ACC conference that you can go out and pick them up. That's going to be luxurious because the SEC is the granddaddy of the leagues. I'm sorry to say it. It just is.
SEC.
But the Big Ten, I think they won with. I think they got a good deal with
USC.
With USC because they got the names, they got the rivalry, they got a lot. So now you got two rivalries happening in the Big Ten where you have Michigan State. The Big Ten, there's always rival games, so it's always good. But now it messes up the Pac-12 because now the Pac-12 you don't have enough talented colleges in the West Coast.
No, not out here.
You used to.
Yeah, you used to.
You're right. Not even different.
But see, here goes the thing. Now all the West Coast kids, they coming east. They're like, Alabama want me? I'm gonna sit the bench, but guess what? I'm going to Alabama.
Man, look, when I heard Nick Saban went to go get the kid Young, Bryce Young, I said, "Oh, that's what we're doing now."
Oh, yeah.
Nick Saban just has to step foot off the plane in California, and baby, he's gonna just start recruiting as soon as he steps off.
Hey,
you know what? I hate that. I like SC. I've been an SC fan since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Since the Juice days, the other Juice, right?
Yeah, I would.
And like year in, year out. I'm gonna pose this question to you guys. What single city do you think produces the most, has the most guys in the NBA, in the NFL, and what state? Now the state changes, the city doesn't. It's the same city year in, year out. But the state, I'm going to give you three choices. What do you think?
I say LA for the city.
You are correct.
Texas for the state.
Nope.
It's not Texas?
Everybody.
Man.
Georgia.
I know.
Georgia. It's between Georgia and sometimes Florida will creep in.
Yeah.
But it's And as far as per capita, right? In other words, if they, per capita, of course, is ratio. If every state had 10 million people, Mississippi puts more guys. Yeah, oh man.
Wow.
I can see that. I can see that.
Oh,
I can see
yeah.
that. I could definitely see that because you get a lot of guys. They get a lot of. They got great offensive. I don't know what the hell it is, but they got a lot of great offensive linemen that come out of that state.
Oh
man.
That you don't even know. I mean, because they
Right.
might not have went in school to Mississippi or Ole Miss, so they don't go to school there. They might go to Alabama, Auburn,
LSU.
But they're still from Mississippi.
Yeah. So
Was born, even more specifically, where they went to high school. Because I mean, where you were born, that your mom could have been on vacation, and then you were there one day, and then you went back home, wherever. But you develop. It's kind of like high school, where you become discovered and you play competitively and whatever, So yeah, in fact, a friend of mine, I won't say her name. She lives in Dallas, and she's a fan of that other team I don't like.
Man, we can't say that name.
No, I'm not going to say it, right? But I'm going to send her this video so she can get a laugh, right? My old Air Force buddy of mine. He's from native Texan, as was my mother. Well, she said, well, what state puts more football players in the NFL Hall of Fame? And she says, well, there's two. It's Texas and California are top, right? But she claims, for instance, the greatest defensive back, the most technically sound defensive back that I've ever seen in my life, corner. That wasn't Dion. He was bad. Mike Haynes, right? Well,
he was good.
Huh?
He was good.
Oh man, I've never seen. If I'm going to teach a kid how to play cornerback, I'm going to say don't do what Dion did, because you don't have the talent, you don't have the speed. Dion would intentionally deep people, knowing that he had the speed to close on a wide receiver in ball speed. I mean, that's you're born with that, right? You can't teach that. But Haynes had perfect technique and was never, ever, ever out of position. He was always right there.
More than Darryl Green?
Mike Haynes, man. I'll tell you what, look at I mean, Darryl Green was bad. He was bad.
That's what I'm saying. When you say technically sound, I'm like, I never seen Mike Haynes play, right? So I never seen him.
You're a youngster.
I am. But when you say technical, you think about that. When I say technical, you think about Darryl Green, because he was, like you said, Dion was that standard, but Green had the speed, he had the technical. Dion had all of that too. He just didn't. He knew when he didn't. I don't need that with this guy. But Darryl, so I'm gonna definitely look up Mike Haynes.
Mike Haynes.
Check him out.
Does he play? Does he? And he played. Now I got to go sit here and suffer through watching the star on the side of his helmet. Are you serious? I'm gonna blur that out.
Oh, Haynes? No. Haynes. He came up with New England.
Okay, cool.
They traded him to the Raiders.
All right.
Right.
Oh, okay. You better.
I'll let that slide.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, he was something. Yeah. So I don't know.
We got a couple of minutes left.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Well, I want to close. Start closing now. I want to thank everyone that watches this show, and like I said, we're going to be out every Saturday. We'll be producing this show. It'll come about 6 o'clock California time, because me and Nathan are out in California, and then of course my nephews are done over in Atlanta, so it'll be about 9 o'clock. What is it, about 9 o'clock there now?
Yeah, by 9. Oh, well, 10 o'clock. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
10 o'clock?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me get my time. But anyway, but we've had we're put this show back on the map and get us going again. I go back and look sometimes and look and see it. Like we say, we got about 2 years. We have 2 years worth of shows on Facebook now that we have. And we'll hopefully be able to produce a bunch of more shows again. And every Saturday, we'll be producing this show on YouTube, Big Sam and Nephews. And we'll have we'll have some different guests on each and every week, and sometimes we'll have the same guest on. I don't know. I'll put it out there now. Nathan, are you able to come back next week?
I do believe so. Right. I do believe
now,
so.
Now I do have to work next week at the ball club, so I got to figure out what I can do, because I might have to change the date on that. I might have to do it on Sunday instead of, and actually that might not work either.
I have to run down to LA, sometimes.
What?
Sometimes I that until a day or two before. But other than that, absolutely.
All right, cool.
Well, we're good. No, we got that figured out. But I got to figure out because like I said, I got to work the whole weekend next weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the ball club. So I'll figure out something, some way that we can get the show on each and every week. And I may have to do it. See, are we able to do a little bit earlier?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Today would have been earlier, fine, but I'm today didn't work earlier, but normally on Saturdays I'm not so busy if I'm in town, right?
Yeah.
So say if we went about 1:00 in the afternoon on West Coast time.
That'll be 4:00.
Tentatively, yes. It's on.
Does that work for you, Parker?
Probably not next week. I got a tournament next week. Got a coach.
Oh, that's right. You have those kids, right?
I've been demoted from being assistant coach because those kids, they just are terrible. They're not terrible. Their parents are terrible.
Yeah, their parents are terrible.
Are the parents that bad?
Yes, they're that bad.
Yeah, bro. I mean, unfortunately, I wasn't able to pick my players this year. I just kind of inherited the team, but I think next year we'll have a stronger team. I actually be able to recruit a lot better next year. So
you're ripping the parents, and parents are gonna watch it. Someone from your pool of parents is gonna.
Everyone has my numbers. Everyone has my numbers. So.
We told them to their face. I told them to their face, like, dude, you guys suck. Like, my kid's the best one out here. I'm like, no, they're not. Like, they're trash.
Yeah.
Learn how to play
next year will be a better year. So we'll see what happens.
And don't get me wrong, I like the kids. Don't get me wrong, I like the kids because you start see what happens. Just real quick because we got a couple of seconds. What happens is, and Uncle, you know that no matter what sport it is, their parents think, "Oh my God, my kid's the best one." Hey man, they're not. But you need to work hard to get on this playing field.
Right.
You need to do what I say to get on this playing field. And so the parents, they always undermine Husambadine. They're like, "Nah, man, you just gotta take the." No, bro, no, because you can't shoot, you can't dribble going left. You can't make a layup. Like, what do you like? Come on, like you can play defense though. Look, I'll keep you on the court if you can play defense, because we can get layups every once in a while.
What do we say? We're not going man. Like, oh, y'all need to go man. Like they can't play his zone.
Not seeing what your child does because y'all suck. Man, I went off on them, man. I went off.
All right, everybody. Cool. We'll be back next week. Thanks a lot, Big Sam Nephews. Want to thank my nephews. Want to thank Nathan. Who'll be back next week too. We'll get it going. All right.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Nate.
Bye-bye.